Hello there, it's Paul Vincenti with a quick thought about the impending problem which we're going to have in Malta very shortly with the attempts to now dismantle the Embryo Protection Act. We had warned you many months, even some years ago, that this is a process which takes time, and the process of dismantling and taking away the rights of the unborn child is done incrementally, bit by bit, using, of course, special cases to win your hearts over so that you agree with things which are inherently unethical and immoral. So what they're proposing now, basically, as the beginning of this, is the introduction based on the argument of infertility, which is a very difficult situation, very painful, very hard for the people involved. What they're saying now is that these people deserve to have children, they have a right to it. First of all, there is no such thing. There is nowhere in the world written in any convention, in any law, that specifies that parents have a right to have a child. First of all, make that very clear. But they don't seem to care. They want you to think it is a right, based upon the argument that these people are suffering. So we're confusing the emotional aspect of the suffering with, well, let's just do anything because let's alleviate the suffering. This was done many times in the past, also with, for example, it began with the divorce debate, continued with the gay marriage debate. Always the same strategy. It's not fair. These people are being mistreated. They need their rights. But what we're doing now is these people are turning from defenders of rights into oppressors. Now we're oppressing the unborn. And how do we do this? Because they're talking about gamete donation. Gametes are sperms or eggs which a third party donates, gives probably an orphan at money, because you buy the sperm, okay? Nobody's going to donate the sperm free of charge. There's got to be something in it. That's human nature. So you buy the sperm, you're encouraged through marketing to be altruistic and help these couples by donating your genes. That's what you're doing. You're giving away your rights as a parent so that somebody else can create your own child, which you have nothing to do with. No rights, no responsibilities whatsoever. The problem is accelerated by the fact that they're not just proposing that, which some people could even accept, though we have a problem with. It's worse, because what they're suggesting now is anonymous gamete donation, which means that the child that then is born and grows up has no idea of it, and it has this right by conventions which Malta has signed, okay? Article 8 in particular is this convention I'm talking about, where we're given the rights to know their genetic inheritance. They have a right to that. So when you deny them that right, you're going against the convention, ignoring the convention, because there's a special interest group of people who have a lot of power and are wielding the power internally, because they have infiltrated politics, to get politicians to do things which are wrong under whatever lobbying process they're using. So this child now has no idea who its mother or father actually was, because we've cut them off completely, because the process of anonymous means there is no way of you ever knowing your actual hereditary. So when you're growing up, and this happens often, if you look different to your mother or your father, you begin to wonder why. And eventually it comes out, and your parent or parents will turn around and tell you at that point, by the way, your father or your mother was a donor, and we don't know who he or she is. Therefore, you have no right to know, because we're your real parents, not him or her. What if this child wants to follow up on who their actual father or mother is? They cannot. We've denied them that right to know that. We're giving away sperm and gametes and eggs, okay, as if they are commodities, products, to create a new product, which is a child, and then we deal with the problems later. And I think this is completely unethical and immoral, and our MPs need to listen to this. Unfortunately, there are other complications. For example, what if this child, its father or mother, had a disease like a cancer which could be inherited? One particular case, which I know of, is a woman who I knew. She died of breast cancer that metastasized and completely consumed her, and eventually she died. She, in fact, was, if you like, the product. Unfortunately, a word which you're going to be forced to use, because that's what we've created now, products, not human beings, of anonymous sperm donation. And as a result, when they discovered after she died, they tracked it down, because the laws changed in the UK recently and they could track down, and discovered that this person's father actually had the same gene and she had inherited it. Had we known this before, instead of severing the contact by law, she probably would still be alive today. What about bowel cancer? It's another case. So they're ignoring these very scientific and deeply immoral and unethical aspects. They'll try and appease you by saying, oh, we'll do screening before. In my view, there's only a limited amount of screening you can do, first of all, because the whole battery of screening will cost a fortune before somebody donates. So it becomes economically unviable. So they will not, because people don't do this. They do not screen to that level to find out, because they don't really care as much as they should, because these are just products. You'll notice one common thread with all of this is that the people who are advocating this aggressively, if you ask them the question, do you believe that life begins at conception, and that is an individual human being, they'll tell you, I don't know, or no. And that is the problem. You're beginning to see now the creation of a new type of subspecies, subhuman, people who we created out of will and desire, based upon moral, emotional, but immoral acts, where we choose to create children to appease our infertility without thinking or caring about the consequences of that individual later on not being able to know where he or she came from. It's your job to contact your MP, to blog, to write, to comment, because this is completely unethical and immoral. It's unfair on human beings, and the people who are doing this are acting like people who are now imposing their values on the rest of society, on these future generations. It is our responsibility to speak up. Ultimately, they do what they do, but not in my name. So that's me signing out. Please share this video, inform other people, and don't forget about the March for Life in December. Please come to the March for Life. Never has it been so important for you to be there and witness that life begins at conception, and children are not a right, they are a responsibility. Thank you.